for the press conference by CPD India. Uh, CPD has launched India's gold standard Israeli disinfectant, CPD Alco Sterile, to disinfect, and sanitize public places. Now, a few months ago, when the pandemic first broke, all of us were looking at, we were all worried. We were touching a phone, we were going out, we as a news crew, when we were going out, we were carrying our microphones, we were taking our cars, our tripods. We were all worried in how we're going to get the infection, and we had to be really, really careful. And that's when Ashish came up to me and talked about this amazing product which he described. Little unbelievable in the beginning. I said, 12 hours? How is that possible? We keep cleaning our hands all the time. We keep cleaning surfaces all the time. Every few minutes, whenever we get a chance, we are doing it, because we've seen tremendous amount of videos out there which talk about how you can get an infection from surfaces, or somebody sneezes, or somebody touches. So I looked at this, and then Ashish shared some of the tests of using these machines, and I looked at it and I said, this really looks like the gold standard, if I want to call it that. And I continue to talk about the product to many people. It is nanotech. Now, understanding nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is anything under 100 nm. Now, a lot of the engine pistons, surfaces, jet engines are all coated with nanotechnology, because the friction is so high. When nanotechnology particles stick on a surface, they don't get eroded, fast enough. And in this case, they say it lasts for 12 hours. It sticks to the surface. It's not like a regular alcohol cleaner where it will disinfect, but as soon as something else, the infection touches it, it's going to be infected again. So I looked at it and I said, all right, this makes sense. And when they said 12 hours, I said, that's like a full business day for us. We'll start our business day at about 8 o'clock. By the time we end at 8 o'clock in the evening, we are still sure that the computer screens we're using, or the keypads we're using, and the machines and mics we're using have not been disinfected, because they're actually protected, even if somebody else has touched them in between. And in a fast news situation, things happen. So I looked at that first thing. Now, last year, I was one of the producers of the pandemic for Netflix. I was producing, and I was in and out of swine flu wards in Rajasthan. We were very, very, very careful on how we operated. We were wearing suits, we were wearing gloves, had masks. For the month and a half I was shooting that film, we were constantly careful. So I knew where we were coming from and how careful we had to be, because one little exposure to the infection, and that's where you're infected now, and you have to deal with it. So to be able to protect your surfaces and to be able to exist and still, be a little worry-free when you get out there, that I am confident of the surfaces that I'm touching, is a big, big reliever as you work. Otherwise, you'll constantly be tense that, am I going to catch it today, or am I going to catch it tomorrow? By the way, through the pandemic, I stayed out every single day working out in the field, capturing images, videos, reporting. And what we do, Maya, first of all, the product is Israeli. And then we're going to talk about, why and what is the relationship between Israel and India been for this COVID-19. Also joining us today is Kapil Chopra. Kapil Chopra is the ex-president of Oberoi Hotels. He's the founder of Postcard Hotels. This is an industry very badly hit. And to resurrect the business back, they have to look for tangible solutions, because when people come into a hotel and when people are going to begin traveling, they need to enter a hotel and say, okay, I'm safe here. I'm not worried about the surfaces. Maybe people you can avoid for a little while, but surfaces you are going to face. So you need to be confident of those surfaces. Also joining us is Ashwin Bhadri. He's the CEO of Equinox Labs. It's a lab that tests, all kinds of things that come to it for food grade materials and all other disinfection materials. So, they've carried out thousands of tests. And so he's joining us today as well. And obviously joining me is Ashish Kapoor and Devinder Gupta. They're both directors of CPD India. And I've been interacting with both of them, and they're going to be telling us about the product. But before we get into, inviting Ashish and Devinder to the floor, let's, Akriti, please, would you play out the video? Let's take a look at the product.
Welcome to CPD, the gold standard of Israeli disinfection. CPD Alco Sterile launches in India to disinfect and sanitize public places. We are an Israeli technology company producing under the strictest conditions and surpass the Israeli standard of ESP 700. We provide sterilization and 12 hours of continuous disinfection on surfaces. The biggest differentiator of CPD is continuous protection. Products in the market disinfect surfaces, but a hand with germs or infection touches it, and now the surface is infected. But CPD does not let even an infected hand stop that protection. Nanoparticles stick to the surfaces. CPD works on multiple surfaces, including wood, fabric, metals, and plastics. Get ready to effectively disinfect your surroundings and high-touch surfaces like ATM machines, door handles, vehicles. Spray a thin layer and forget for a few hours. The protection has been verified at the International Airport of New Delhi with a 3M infection level testing machine over a 12-hour period. The product has the following global certifications: the British and European standards BSEN 14561, American standards AAMI TIR 12, Israeli standards 1944, and Indian standards NABL accredited Equinox Labs. The product is the only listed long-lasting disinfection on GEM and authorized for Government of India purchase. Protect your family's business and customer confidence. Here is a product that gives you peace of mind with protection against corona and other viruses. Plan for tomorrow to be ready now. CPD, Gold Standard Alco Sterile Disinfection. Welcome.
All right, now let me invite Ashish and Devinder. Ashish, Devinder, really my one question to you is, tell us, how is CPD a gold standard to protect people from surface infections? Tell us a bit about the product itself.
Rohit, thank you for introducing CPD. Let me tell you a little bit about the product. And at the end of the day, when COVID hit us globally and in India in March, we looked at global best practices, and what better place to look at than Israel, which is really known for its safety and security standards across the world. And we said, what are the best ways in which Israel is protecting its citizens? And let's find those solutions, those nanotechnologies, and let's get those to India. And one of those top solutions is CPD, which is really a great aerosol can. It's super simple to use. What it does is that it protects a surface that is commonly touched for up to 12 hours. And as per WHO guidelines, this is really beneficial for two reasons. One, the WHO guidelines clearly state that high-touch surfaces give a higher risk of contamination and infection, hence should be identified by various organizations, or even at home. High-touch surfaces should be spotted and be cleaned continuously. The second thing around WHO guidelines is frequent spraying with aerosol sprays or other solutions or through other liquid disinfectants is not a great idea to constantly sanitize over a period of time. So when you have a solution, which is this Israeli nanotechnology, which allows you to do it once for up to 12 hours, and like you rightly said, in today's environment, that pretty much means a full workday. You're not frequently adding chemicals to the environment. So I think the fact that it adheres to WHO guidelines, it's being used by Israeli security forces, by the airports in Israel, railways, was really a belief in the trust of the product. It's been certified globally and in India. Equinox was one of the certifying partners. It's an NABL accredited lab and one of India's largest certifying institutions. I'm also very grateful to the government of India because in record speed, they saw the value that the Israeli best-in-class product was bringing and has approved the product as the only category for long-lasting disinfection available on the government e-marketplace for procurement by either government institutions or PSUs. But I think what's also very interesting is, what does it mean for a common man? At the end of the day, our kids are going to go back to school. We are going to go back to work or to malls, restaurants, hotels, driving cabs, payment processing industries. We go to fill petrol in a car and we pay by a credit card or debit card, and we have machines like these. We never used to think twice about touching surfaces. And now all of a sudden, that's a huge concern for us. So what this product allows us to do and demonstrate is really why it's the gold standard is also because it gives actual belief to users. Now, this is, like I mentioned, a standard POS terminal, which is available at merchants, malls, restaurants. And we do a swab test, a simple swab test. And we put that swab in a 3M machine. Now, 3M is one of the world's globally acknowledged health and hygiene experts. And this measures it in under 5 minutes. It tells you the contamination reading on any surface. So if we do a swab test and measure it on this machine, it tells you the contamination level pre-using CPD. And after that, when we spray CPD and we do the same test, and read it on this, it tells us what is the reading. And invariably, we've seen that public surfaces in airports, in malls, in cars have been residential buildings in great sanitization protocols in place, but the contamination level is a lot higher than accepted levels. And then post spraying the CPD, it comes down and stays down for a full day. And I think that peace of mind is priceless. So that's my take on it. I'll have Devinder say a couple of things. Thank you.
Hi, hello everyone. I think what struck me about CPD was the simplicity of the product. I think it's one of the simplest product which we can use. Otherwise, whenever we talk about COVID and protection from COVID, we are thinking it's so difficult. It is so tough, on a lot of the things. Like we're talking about disinfecting services almost every 1 hour, the labor involved with it, the supervision needed with it, dilution needed on the product, another mix needs to be done on the product. So what struck us about the CPD was that how simple the Nano Z, who is the patent owner of the technology, has thought about the consumer and made a very simple product. It's like as simple as spraying, any surface which you want to keep contamination free for 24 hours in a way. Why I say 24 hours in a way is that most of the time we face high touch surfaces when we're going out or when we're in the office environment and places where more public interaction has to be there. So all we are doing it is like we just spraying it. Let's say the businesses have to start at 9 o'clock. You spray at 8. Before the business ends by 8 o'clock, it's completely protected. The next day you come, again it is protected. So to take a simple example, if we were to spray this product on a lift panel, 2 lift panels which are inside a single lift, the call buttons and everything, you're just talking about 7 rupees a day cost. But the peace of mind which you're getting with it, the complications which you're getting rid of it, and the confidence level, which is missing now in the post-COVID world, and the confidence level which is giving to you that, oh, I can touch the surface, is priceless. So we really feel that this product is really taking care of so many things, including it's so simple to use. Even a kid can use it. It's a simple spray. Just spray it on the surface and forget it, for the day. So that's, my partner Ashish already mentioned a lot of the other things, and this is what touched me the most about the product. I think Rohit, you're on mute.
I have a question for Ashish and Devendra, both of you. So explain this to me a bit. Now you sprayed this product, and for the next 12 hours, you're saying that the surface stays in good disinfection level, if you want to call it. Now, how is this measured? On the machine itself, how is it represented, and how do we know the infection level is under control? Give me a little sense of that.
So, Rohit, two parts to your question. For 12 hours, 9 safety standards. Now, I'll tell you about the measurement in a second. The rigorous testing is actually in labs. So like in Equinox labs in India, by British standards, US standards, Israeli standards, all these standards in labs have tested it for all the various contamination criteria and said it works. But what the 3M test really does is it has a scale of RLU. The measurement is RLU, relative light units. Anything over 250 is considered contaminated, below 250 is considered safe. So when it's really to instill confidence. Now, if we come to your residential building and on a lift panel, take a swab before applying CPD and it's reading 700 or 800, it shows it's contaminated. After applying CPD, if that number goes down to below 250, and in this case, it goes down to 39, 29, 40, and stays like that below 250 for up to 12 hours, you have the peace of mind to know that what's written in the lab reports actually works.
So, good opportunity to invite Maya Kadosh. She's the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Government of Israel in India, based in New Delhi. Maya, tell us about the relationship, India and Israel have shared and are working together when we talk about the context of COVID-19.
So, as you must probably know, Israel and India signed strategic partnership in 2014. I think since then we can see a lot of development in the relations between the countries. And since COVID started, we had 3 phone calls between our prime minister that agreed that they would share information, share technologies, assist each other in whatever way possible, and will bring the best practices to the table. And I think this is a really great example of how these things work for people and not only on the level of prime minister. We can see a product that was tried in Israel that is proved to be a good product, a reliable product, being brought to the Indian market by the private sector with full support of both government. We are extremely excited to have it's the first Israeli product on GEM. So we are very excited about that and thank Ashish for his effort. And we congratulate him for this.
So I hear there is some breaking news. That there has been, an outreach by the government of Israel to the government of India today.
Part of the big effort to bring technologies to India, Israeli technologies to India, we faced the first wave of COVID, we faced quite well. Even now when we face the second wave, our health system is handling quite well. And that's thanks to using technologies, many technologies in many areas, nanotechnology like this product, also IA, also remote medicine. And we are going to bring to India in the next couple of weeks some of these technologies. CPD will be part of these packages of technology that will come to India. Some of it is donated by the government of Israel. Some of it was donated by the companies themselves. And we are going to work here with hospitals and government institutions and share our best practices here from the Indian side as well, what worked for you.
So there is an outreach. The government of Israel is sending a little piecemeal along with the CPD product to India, is what you're saying?
Israel is sending two teams. One will be research team that will work with the Indian chief scientist on a few new inventions that we may talk about in few months here. And the other one will be technologies that are already in the market and will come and we will give it to the Indian government, yes.
Great, outstanding. Couples joining me. Couple is a hotelier, you've been in the hotel industry for a long time. It's very hard hit. We know how badly hit it is. Kapil, tell us a bit about uh, to revive this business. What is it going to take?
So I think, if you really look at the hospitality business, I think, and if you really look at the pandemic in general, I think it's the fear. And I think in everything that you do, you have to address the fear part of the pandemic more than what is actually happening on the ground in a lot of cases. And people are very scared. So when people are scared, then going out to eat or going or travel kind of becomes less of a priority, because safety becomes your first priority. As hospitality providers, and if you are running a luxury hotel group like we are doing at the Postcard Hotel, one of the big things is a bigger focus on safety and hygiene. I remember meeting Ashish, and he was really excited about this product and talking about it. So I think at the Postcard Hotel in Goa, we were pretty much one of the first few to trial the product. So when I'm speaking to you today, the product is already at our hotels. We've actually trialed the product because we got in trial packs to really look at the product and see how good it is and how well it can do. We've run our tests, and we are very confident that the product is really great. The good part is that once you spray it, it kind of evaporates pretty fast. So it evaporates within a couple of minutes and actually stays on for a good 12 hours. So we have it as a part of our, unlike normal businesses which kind of operate for 12 hours, and hotel is a 24-hour operation. So we use one application in the morning at 7 a.m. and another application in the evening around 6:30, which kind of sees us through the whole day. But I think, once you're able to, I'll give an example. Everybody talks about hygiene and everybody talks about sanitization. And I remember when I met Ashish for the first time on this product, he spoke about the exact safety protocols internationally that the product clears. And I think that's important. When we talk about it, when we talk about using sanitization at the Postcard Hotel, and we talk about cleaning floors, for example, I mean, this product we're not using at floors, we're using for door handles, we're using for in-room telephones, we're using for your remotes in the rooms, we're using for high-touch activity areas, but not for the floor. So for example, we were pretty much one of the first hotel groups which mentioned that we are using Diversey 256X, which is actually an operation theater level disinfectant on the floor. And I'm very proud to say that we are using CPD for all high-touch services in the hotel. I think, one of the ways to address fear is to be specific about what you're doing, because it's about people's lives. And people are really reading up a lot. Like there's a joke going on. Earlier on, everybody was an economist. Now everybody's an epidemiologist. So everybody is actually reading a lot. And if there is genuine concern about your well-being and safety, then it's important for us to communicate it to people. And that's what we're doing.
And for them
So
to
this is
understand.
a part of our communication protocol that this is the product we're using. Satisfy yourself, because we're kind of catering to the higher end of the luxury hotel market. And the good part is, with more and more products like this coming in, it addresses the fear part, which also means that people will actually start venturing out and actually start taking a break. Everybody's been cooped up at home for 4 months. It's time to move out.
One of the things, Kapil, you pointed out was, when once you spray, it evaporates very quickly. I was, in fact, in the beginning, when we started testing products as well to use in our industry, in the news business, we looked at a product which was it was water-based, and we were using it on vehicles and all of that. And what it was doing is it was spoiling our clothes. If it is a water-based product and you spray it on a seat and then you sit on it, or once you spray the thing, the effectivity comes 20 minutes later. It's no good. I'm not gonna, call, my car to come and I'm gonna spray it and then wait for 20 minutes. For the product like this, you could spray and get into the car right away, because it's, the action's already happened. It's 70% alcohol based. And that was the whole idea. I said, this makes a lot of sense. Why should I put water on my clothes? I'm sorry, whether you have to be careful of what you're wearing, you're going to an event or whatever you may be doing. So one of the things I think that really stood out, and you talked about it. So one of the other things as well I want to bring out in the hotel industry, and especially because we're talking about use cases, is this is capable of handling food grade cleansing, which means it can be used in kitchens and things like. Do you see space for this product in your kitchens, because it's being tested for food and medical?
So in the general kitchen areas, yes, definitely, because the kitchen has a lot of surfaces too. not specifically, when I'm cooking or whatever, but in areas where the kitchen. So pretty much, Rohit, to answer your question, everywhere in the hotel where there are surfaces, and everywhere where the potential to touch the surfaces is too often, we're going to use it, which includes counters in the kitchens, because there are bigger surfaces where you plate the food, where you do a lot of stuff. It's much better if those surfaces are completely disinfected. And when you rightly brought about the point of water soluble products, means, the other thing that's going to happen, Rohit, is, and that happens everywhere. Once a product starts, then there'll be another 10, 15, 20 people who'll come out with the same product, and, they'll start doing it, and they'll start approaching us and saying, why don't you use this product? But, I think, the most important thing while evaluating sanitization products, while evaluating health and hygiene products is, you really need to be assured of quality. Because the moment you drop the guard on quality, and you drop the guard on provenance, or you drop the guard on certification, you're actually playing with human life. And so hence it's extremely critical. Means there will be cheaper products, means I can guarantee you right now, which will come into the market like in any other case. And my only thing is going to be that at the end of the day, quality matters. And in specifically this case, quality matters because, you make one mistake, and you take a certification, and people will come in and say that it's valid for 30 days and 60 days and 90 days. What is 12 hours? And my thing is that, you really cannot compromise with human life.
No,
Safety,
only one mistake can cost you your life.
Yeah.
It actually can cost
The
you
confidence,
your life.
and it's extremely important as hospitality professionals. It's important for us to get the confidence of people back, so that all of you can take a holiday in peace without having to worry about using the sanitizer every 30 seconds.
Right. All right, now let me bring in Ashwin Bhadri. Ashwin runs the Equinox Labs. It's an NABL certified lab. Now, Ashwin, you test many, many products. You've tested thousands of products. You should tell us how many though. How does CPD stand out for you? Why did you decide to come and speak with us here today?
Thanks for that. So thanks, Ashish, for having me on here today. So we've, as a laboratory, we're a 15-year-old lab. We've tested millions of samples. When it comes to alcohol products in the last 5-6 months, we all know the numbers have gone up. Before this, testing of sanitizers was not a very large thing, but in the last few months, we've got hundreds of samples from different people from all over the country, people claiming 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But the reason I actually decided to speak at this particular event is because when I looked at the results of CPD, right, I saw that there's something that kind of stood out over other people. It actually, the level of protection which it offered over time was fantastic. See, a lot of sanitizers where you spray it, you take a before, you spray, you take an after, there's a good drop. But 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, you re-swab the same surface, you retest the same surface. And if something else dirty has touched it, microorganisms grow again. What CPD was able to do was actually maintain that zero level, right? The 99.99% drop that you get, maintaining that for 12 hours consistently was not something that I'd seen in any other products that we tested, right? And we do two kinds of tests. We do something called as an unloaded test. Unloaded test is normal people using the product. So let's say it's a door handle, we would normally do a swab of the door handle before. Then you'd spray the product. People would continue to use the door through the 10 hours, 12 hours. And we would then test every 2 hours to see what a normal use case is, right? People actually touching the product, right? And touching the surface. Over there, we saw a good drop, and it's staying at zero in spite of people touching the product and touching the surface, right? It actually is able to maintain zero. And then we also did a loaded test. A loaded test is where we actually create a dirty batch of liquid, right? Which is very high concentration, like about 100,000 to even a lakh to 10 lakh CFU of microorganisms, that kind of concentration, and putting that on the surface and then testing it right after and then through the day, and was able to maintain a zero level for that as well, which is very, very difficult to do. And I've not seen any other product do that. Because of which I think this actually is the gold standard when it comes to a continuous protection.
So when we hear about products, I've heard, I was talking to a friend, he runs cinema halls, and he said, but we found something for 90 days, or we found something for a whole year. And I turned around and I went back to Ashish and I said, Ashish, you said 12 hours, but this gentleman's claiming a whole year.
But it's not able to keep it at zero by default that time, right? That is for sure. But if that product is touched, right, that's the wall and you touch the product, the product comes off on your fingers. So now that protection is no longer there. So what is different about CPD is actually holds on, because of nanotechnology, it holds on to the surface. So even if repeated touches, right, like 2 touches every 5 minutes, which is a normal use case for any, anything, let it be a ATM machine or any other surface, right? It was able to stay on for 12 hours and continue protecting for 12 hours. Right? So that was something that was kind of different than the other products. Other products may claim that is when nobody's touching the product in an ideal scenario, when it's on the wall and it's saying that it's clean is one thing. But when it's actually being touched, a surface which is being touched again and again by hundreds of people through the day, and maintaining that level of protection is, I think, only CPD is the only one that we've seen so far.
All right, we have a few questions coming in from people who've joined us today. Rakesh Chauhan is asking, how durable is the strength of CPD in a restaurant? Application tables have to be cleaned after every guest. Will this still be effective? Ashish or maybe even Ashwin, you can address that.
So we've tried it. I'll let Ashwin explain the technicality of it, but we've tried it within all our restaurants across India. And we've done the testing with the 3M machine also. What we've seen is that the regular cleaning is anyway supposed to happen, and it doesn't degrade it for the 12-hour period. So it take more than a day's stress.
Right. Another question coming in from Anirban. Aren't these products that provide 7 days protection or 30 days protection? They also say the nano coating. They also say they're nano coating products. So how is this product different? I think you've answered it, but Ashwin, you can again brace it. If there are more nanotech products in the market, is there a guarantee these are nanotech products?
So I wouldn't be able to comment on whether they're nanotech or not. For me, it is, we look at the test results. We won't look at the claim that a manufacturer is making. We actually let the data speak for itself, right? So when we've seen surfaces, we've tested products in the past, which you can spray on the wall, and you can, they ask us to swab every 10, 15 days intervals. And that works fine. But anytime we stress tested that product, stress tested is what Ashish just mentioned, right? Like it's being touched, it's being cleaned. Then this product just goes right off at least the products we've tested, right? So, and CPD is one of the only products where even after cleaning, after touching door handles, after touching wooden surfaces, right, which were normal desks of people being, sprayed with, and somebody's continuing to use the desk through the day, and being able to maintain a 0 count through the day was impressive. So yeah, that would be the main difference.
So another question is coming in terms of, are you using nano silver technology? How does this compare to the nano silver tech coating? Have you tested it at all?
Nano silver technology, I wouldn't get into the technology aspect of the product, right? We only talk about the end results. Okay. So I think Ashish and the team will probably be better talking about which technology is being used in the product.
No, I think the question is they're asking is they want to compare this product with the nano silver technology product.
So when it comes to nano silver technology products, yes, they are effective, but the continuous protection is where I think there would be a bit of an issue, right? And whenever we've done this in the past, we've not been able to see these products sustain usage. Usage means people touching it.
Okay. All right.
I think Ashish wants to say something.
Yeah, Ashish, why don't you come in and let's go towards the closing of this press.
Rohit, sorry to interrupt your flow of questions. I was actually super excited with what Maya told us, that the government of Israel and the government of India are cooperating at a national level to share best practices and to share technologies, and a research team is coming down. I think that is just fabulous at a national level because we've all acknowledged always that Israel is a leader when it comes to safety and security. And if India today, it's not so much about business, it's about the ethical aspect of saving lives and making sure that we as a country have access to the best technology to be able to do so. So I'm really excited that the CPD has an opportunity and we in turn, have an opportunity to serve the country in getting this technology, which the two governments are sharing with each other to protect hospitals, schools, public parks, transport, airports, you have cars, and then obviously workspaces and residences. So it's great news that Maya has given us.
So railway station. So certainly a very exciting opportunity, and thank you very much for inviting me to do this. I was more than happy to do it because I have used it in the last 4 months now, and I've seen